Welcome to the deserts of Bahrain, where the Formula One circus has rolled into town. We're expecting the cars to appear out on track shortly to start today's practice session. This weekend's night race will definitely be a challenge for some of the drivers, as not all of them have driven under lights before, so they'll need to quickly adapt to the conditions.
They will have already acclimatised and configured their normal race weekend routine to a night schedule, but I can't wait to see which driver gets up to speed the quickest in these conditions.
It's still taking some getting used to, seeing Sebastian Vettel in the red of Ferrari this season.
After so many years racing in the Red Bull colours, it's going to take a while to adjust to Seb in that Ferrari. They'll be hoping he can add to his 4 world titles with them and bring back some glory days to Maranello.
Hello guys, and welcome to Bahrain for the 4th edition of this F1 2015 Championship Mode, Career Mode, whatever you want to call it. We are getting ready for the Q1 session here at Bahrain, and we are just about ready to get out on track here, hoping to wash away that blemish that was the Chinese Grand Prix there. That and Malaysia really want to erase those two from memory as quickly as possible. No better way to do that than to do well here at Bahrain. We are just about ready to wrap up our first lap here in Q1, and the goal for this qualifying session is to finish within the top 3 rows there. I have no illusions of finishing within the top 4 there, but top 3, we do not want to drop any lower than P6 there for the start. 135, 133 here, almost immediately bested by Hamilton by almost 2.5 seconds there, and that pretty much puts into perspective what we're dealing with here at Bahrain. We try and stay out for an extra lap here, see if we can improve on it, but we are unable to, unfortunately, and have to make do with what we have. Anyway, that concludes Q1 for us here as we managed to scrape into Q2 in P9 here, and I guess the good news is that we're only about 0.3 of a second off our teammate there, Sebastian Vettel, but bear in mind that he's been out on the prime tire in this particular session here, and we were out on the option tire. Jumping head first into Q2 here, this is going to be our first lap. We're being chased down by one of the Mercedes cars there. 134.928. That is going to be our best time this weekend, and there is no further need to punish the tires here as we make it into the shootout in P8. And just look at Sebastian Vettel there. He got a set of options on that car there, and all of a sudden it's a whole different ball game. And getting ready to get out on track for Q3 here. We are going to fiddle just a little bit with the car. Obviously, there's not too much we can do about it at this point, but one thing we can do, however, is get some fuel out of this car here. We've been running with a standard 15 kilo load. Now we're going to be taking most of it out here with the aim of getting in one fast lap. That would hopefully put us in the first 6 spots there on the starting grid for tomorrow's race. Coming through the last turn here on the finishing straight, passing the DRS point, 135.995, nowhere near close to our Q2 time there. So we are going to be staying out on track here, hoping to improve on this. This has to be possible. Lap 2 here, 135.469, still no improvement and still well off the pace of our Q2 lap. They're staying out for yet another lap, just hoping not to run out of fuel here. Running a little wide here in the final turn. They're trying to get a good exit. It seems that we pretty much keep the rear end in check there coming out of the corner. 135.987. We're getting there. Not as good as our Q2 time, yet staying out on track, hoping there's enough gas left in the car for yet another lap here. Lap 4 finishing straight, still in P6 here. This is going to be our last time in this Q3 session here. We managed to improve on it just a little bit, just enough to bump Felipe Nasser down to P6 there as we are into P5. And even though we get bumped there from P5 as Valtteri Bottas just squeezes in between us and Vettel, we still managed to reach our goal here and qualifying within the top 6 spots there. So pretty happy with this one so far. Waiting for the 5 red lights to go out here. How are we going to be faring here at Bahrain? Starting 6th on the grid here. Bottas ahead of us. Nasser right behind us there. We don't get the greatest start one more time there. It's pretty much the standard here in F1 2015. Whenever I try and get off the grid there, Nasser moves down the inside of us there. Ericsson moves down the inside of us. We try and have a look down the inside of both Ericsson and Nasser here coming into turn 1. We can't make that stick, but going down the inside here in turn 2, we managed to peg both of them there as we are back into P6. And by the looks of it there, we pretty much already have the top 5 cars running away from everyone. Anyway, we are trying a slightly different approach here than what we were trying to do at Shanghai. What we were trying to do at Shanghai was to run a setup with as little drag as possible, hoping for some straight line speed. That did not seem to help us very much. What we're trying to do here and focusing on tonight is exit speed from the slow corners, this being one of them, turn 8. And also turn 10 here as we come out on the short DRS straight. This is going to be a very important spot to get some decent traction out of the corner there, because obviously this is not a very long straight, and even though people have DRS, they really need to get a jump on you if they are going to have any success of passing you here. And as we come through turns 11 and 12 here, this is another section where we expect to have the advantage over the AI. We are going to be suffering a little bit on the straights, I would expect, but these particular sections with the high drag setup we're running, we should have an advantage. And cranking the engine into rich mode here for the back straight. This is what we're going to be doing the entire race, putting the engine into rich mode for the back straight and the main straight, dialing it back down into standard mode as we come into turn 1. Hopefully this will give us the speed we need, but also help us burn the fuel we need to get a lighter car later in the race. Jumping ahead to lap 3 here, we are still running in P6 here. We have Ericsson immediately behind us there. He has his teammate Nasser right behind him. But again, neither cars, even though they're tagging along with us there, are not really putting us under any pressure there, mainly because of our exit speed here. And we've really been working on this, both during practice and the setup there, and it seems to be working nicely for us so far. The bad news, however, is that it seems that Sebastian Vettel is already pulling away from us quite dramatically here, as he's about 5 seconds ahead of us right now. And as we come out on the main straight here, this is where things are going to get interesting, because usually supposedly weaker cars than your own here are really able to just close a gap on you within a few seconds on a long straight there. And it doesn't appear that Ericsson or Felipe Nasser are able to catch us here. Jumping ahead to lap 5 here, we still have the same situation there. Vettel out in front, Ericsson right behind us, followed by his teammate Felipe Nasser. What is interesting, however, is that the two Saubers there really seem to be forming a line behind them. I know it looks like we're the ones forming the line here, but we were actually pulling away here on the straights, but neither Sauber car seemed to be pulling away from whoever's chasing them. What is interesting, however, is where are the Force Indias there? And if they pass the Saubers, what are we going to be looking at there? Because obviously Paris and Hulkenberg really should be faster than these two guys. Jumping right ahead to lap 9 here, no changes overall other than the fact that Felipe Nasser is now into P7, having passed Ericsson there for P8. And not too much to say really. We are obviously starting to feel a little bit of tire wear at this point here, but generally we've been taking pretty good care of our tires here so far, and it should be no problem whatsoever to reach our intended pit window, which is lap 17 or 18, I believe. Jumping to lap 19 here as we come in for our first pit stop of the race here. Wouldn't you know it, we're being held back here. Ricardo jumps us in the pits, and I have a hard time seeing us catching him again, because obviously the Red Bull, well, it shouldn't be faster than us. It just is. And here on lap 20, it also appears that Felipe Nasr also managed to jump us while we were in the pits there. And that means we've gone from P6 as we went in to change our tires and coming out in P8. And that is pretty much a drag, to say the least here. We did not expect this. We had a pretty good gap down to Nasr of about 2.5 seconds there, but being held back in the pits there really seemed to hurt us. But at this point here, it seems that we're keeping pace with Nasr pretty well there. So maybe we're going to be able to put him under pressure later on. One thing I feel I should mention here is the quality of this particular video, or in this particular race anyway. I'm trying to get rid of the blur that seems to haunt the F1 2015 PC version. They're really difficult to get rid of. And it might look all nice and well on a GTX 970 rig, and that's all good, but when you put it onto a compressed video format and upload it on YouTube, it really seems to hurt the overall quality of the video here. So we're running a little bit of an experiment here today, and I hope you don't mind. Jumping ahead to lap 23 here, Felipe Nasr opening up a nice gap to us. He's about 4 seconds up the road right now as we're having trouble keeping pace here. But then again, we're not really trying to keep pace. We're trying to conserve our tires as best we can here and hopefully get some added speed later in the stint here. What that means, however, is that we are being caught from behind by Max Verstappen right now. And again, coming into this difficult left-hander, which is turn 10, a good exit here is absolutely key if we're going to be keeping Verstappen behind us. Almost losing the back end of the car there, managing to save it. But like I said, a good exit here and a good run on the DRS straight is absolute key if we want to keep this position here. Again, coming through turn 11 here on lap 26, almost losing the back end. We're starting to feel the pressure from behind here, and we are making mistakes. Jumping ahead to lap 33 here, getting to the end of our second stint here, and wouldn't you know it, Felipe Nasr is now dropping back. I'm not sure whether or not he's been spending too much fuel here, opening up a gap to us, or whether his tires have simply died on him here. But the fact is, we are closing down on him by about a second a lap right now, and hopefully this means we're going to be able to put him under pressure.
In first place.
Jumping ahead to lap 34 here, Felipe Nasr still having trouble here as we're closing the gap on him completely as we're going to be coming out on the main straight here. Hopefully we're going to be close enough to get DRS, and hopefully we're going to be able to get the move done on this straight. Getting a good exit here, making sure we're right on the gearbox of Nasr here, passing the DRS point, opening the rear wing, going down the inside here. Absolutely seamless move, no problem whatsoever, and we are back into P7 here. And I have to say I'm feeling pretty good about this because I am certain that this particular overtake is a result of one thing and one thing only, and that is Nasr killing his tires too soon. And speaking of tires here on lap 37, we are making our second and final stop of the race here, getting the prime tire fitted here for the final stint, and we're not getting held up this time, thankfully. Rejoining the track here in P7, nobody seems to be able to pass us as we were in the pits there, and that's good news. Jumping ahead to lap 40 here, we have Daniel Ricciardo about 25 seconds up the road right now, and it means that if we are going to be catching him, it pretty much means that he probably needs to put the car in the wall or something like that. What's a little bit more worrying is that Max Verstappen, again in P8, is on the hunt there and is currently closing the gap on us right now. And jumping to lap 43 here, Max Verstappen, having closed the gap on us completely, tries an ill-fated move here in turn 11. And I'm not sure what he was thinking there. We pretty much had that line covered, if you ask me. There's no room whatsoever. Tries to move down the inside of us there, ends up touching wheels with us and spins. And that's the second race in a row there with Max Verstappen. Gets a little too aggressive and ends up spinning off the track because of it. Jumping ahead to lap 46 here, we now have a Force India sighting as we have Nico Hülkenberg about 2 seconds behind us right now, trying to chase us down here late in the race. And jumping to lap 47 here, I definitely expect the Force India of Hülkenberg to be a lot faster than the Saubers there of Ericsson and Nasser as we come out on the main straight. They're almost losing the back end. That's going to hurt our top speed down the road here. And the question is this going to be enough to hold off Hülkenberg here for the remaining laps? As we come through turns 2 and 3 here, coming out on the short straight that is heading into turn 4, we have Hülkenberg easily closing the gap on us there. We're adopting a bit of a defensive line here on the inside track, hopefully getting a good exit from this particular turn and keeping Hülkenberg behind us here. And coming through turns 8 and 10 here, this is going to be absolute key in keeping Hülkenberg behind us for the remaining laps here. Getting a very good exit here from turn 8. And as you can see there, Hülkenberg not able to put us under pressure here coming into turn 10. Trying to turn a little early here, getting on the throttle as soon as we possibly can, keeping the rear end in check. We get a nice clean gap here on Hülkenberg, and there is no way he's going to be able to close that gap here before the turn. Jumping ahead to lap 54 here, status quo remains as we have Hülkenberg directly behind us there. He has DRS, but he is not able to make a move here as we come into turn 1, even though we have to adopt a bit of a defensive line here coming into the turn. And I have to say that even though it appears that Hülkenberg has the faster car when it comes to straight line speed, it does appear that his tires are suffering a little bit here because he's not very quick at getting out of the corners right now, and that is good news for us. As we jump to lap 56 here, coming out on the back straight, he's not going to be in a position to make a move on this particular straight. As a matter of fact, we have Sebastian Vettel right behind him there, trying to lap him at this point, so that's pretty interesting. And coming through the last turn here, just focusing on getting a good exit as we come out on the main straight, almost loosen the back end just to make things a little interesting, but we are going to be coming home in P7 here ahead of Nico Hülkenberg, and what a race we got there in the end, even though it might not have appeared as such. Just driving a very disciplined last stint there, trying to conserve our tires and just trying to drive our own race no matter who was coming from behind there. We were not in a position where we had to defend recklessly in any way. It was pretty much just sticking to the game plan, and I'm very, very happy to see that it actually worked down the line. Anyway, Lewis Hamilton taking the win here, breaking Nico Rosberg's streak as he finishes second. Sebastian Vettel rounding off the podium there in third. And well, finishing in P7, given the fact that we started 6th on the grid. I guess we lose a spot there, but I have to say that if you take into account how the last 2 races in Malaysia and China have been working out, P7 right now feels pretty darn good. And having a look at the championship standings here, Nico Rosberg still firmly in command here with Lewis Hamilton right behind him, Sebastian Vettel in third. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed this, please don't forget to leave a like or subscribe to this channel for more F1 2015 action, and I'll be seeing you soon enough. Bye-bye.